Tell me what your life was like before you died.
I'd been caring for my best friend who was going through treatment for leukemia, and we thought it was going to be a 2 or 3 month ordeal, but it turned into almost 8 months. And by the time he died, I was pretty much a physical, emotional wreck. And there was a bad flu going around. I picked it up. It became pneumonia. And then I got super sick and had to have a friend take me to a doc in the box. And before we got there, I got out of the car and I felt my life force just kind of leaking out. It was the weirdest thing. And I just fell to the ground. He carried me in. They got me going again. I wake up in a hospital with an oxygen tent and my family around, and they're from California. I was living in Washington at the time, and Colorado. And I thought, what's going on? They said, wow, you're super sick. You've got something called ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome. The doctor said, you got about a 38% chance of making it because this is kind of new to us. This was 23 years ago. I was kind of a guinea pig for the project. We're not sure what to do, but we're going to put you into a drug-induced coma. We're going to intubate you, nice scar to prove it. And then we're going to do our best, but we're going to give you something called white amnesia. So you will remember nothing. Your brain will just shut down as far as remembering anything while you're gone. And hopefully, we'll see you soon. But I had no options. So my dad gave me a thumbs up, and I gave him a thumbs up and waved goodbye to everybody, and black. All of a sudden, I woke up. I was conscious. It was totally dark. Later, I'd learned that was the void. But at the time, I thought somebody had stuck me in a closet. It was just quiet, and I thought, what is going on? And I didn't know if I was standing or sitting, and I thought, I better not move. I might, hurt myself. So I just kind of hung out and thought this was kind of strange, and waiting and waiting and waiting. And then all of a sudden it started to get a little lighter. That got my attention. It was kind of like a reddish glow. And I thought, sun's coming up. Great. Maybe I can see what's going on. And as it got lighter, this fog was swirling around. So I really couldn't see anything. And I thought, what's going on? And then I started hearing moaning and shrieking, and started getting kind of warm, and I smelled really bad. I'm just thinking, I don't know what's going on. And all of a sudden, it scared me half to death. This voice comes out and says, do you know where you are? I thought, mind's racing. And the only thing I could come up with was hell. And then that thing just scared the living you-know-what out of me. So I just freaked out, and I turned to the left. I mean, you never forget this stuff. It's always very fresh. And ran into the darkness. I didn't care if I hit a wall or fell in a hole or what. I had to get away from that thing. And all of a sudden, it was like bright lights came up, and I looked around, and oh my gosh, I'm like in New York City after a bomb. Buildings are falling down, the windows are blown out, there's fires everywhere, there's people screaming. I mean, it was like, what now, And I thought, well, I'm out here in the middle of this, parking lot. What's remaining? I better go hide, because I don't know if there's been a war or what's going on. So I tucked in behind some concrete and was just, trying to look and see and get some clues. And I do remember seeing there was eventually this ragtag bunch of people kind of started toward me. And I thought, like a homeless camp people were coming at me. And I thought, oh no, and I just said, well, maybe we can get together, you guys, I'll get some fire for the, firewood, and you find some water. And this one guy just said, we are all alone here. Where's here? And I thought, no, this is just too scary. And I thought, well, I better find another place. So I started running. There was this metallic scuttering sound like aliens, I thought, expletive, I gotta get out of here. So I tried to get up this concrete kind of wall thing, but I fell, and I was going backwards on my back, and I thought, this is going to hurt. And then it all went black again, and the lights would come up. This happened over and over and over, and each time the scenario got worse. And a lot of times I was challenged. Like the time I woke up, or the lights came up, and here's this huge demon standing there, and I thought, I know this is a demon. It looks like a Bigfoot with a bad attitude, but I just know that's what it is, holding a big stick. And, He was not very far away. And I looked up and I just stared and I thought, oh, now what? And he says, you want to get out of here? Yeah. And he says, I can make that happen. And I said, I thought that was strange. He was speaking English, And I said, okay, yeah, sure. What do you got? And he says, well, I need you to do one thing for me. I said, sure, I'll take a look. He didn't seem to be going to hurt me. I just, it's so weird to be in a place like that. You adapt. All right. So the lights come up behind him. And as far as you can see is this huge blackberry field with it really high canes. They're all twisted up and the big old thorns on them. And in Washington and a lot of places I've lived, they grow wherever nature abhors a vacuum. So anytime there's an empty space, blackberries come up. And I know how hard it is to cut them. And you usually need really thick gloves and thick cutters and all that stuff. So I looked at that and I went, and he says, just cut those down for me. Save me the job. I'll get you out of here. And then he hands me these kindergarten scissors that they cut paper with. And then he starts laughing. And I thought, oh, you creep. I said, all right, I'm up to this. You're just being a creep. But if it's a chance to get out of here, I'm going to do it. So I scritch down in there and I'm getting all cut up. And I'm gnawing on one of these damn canes and finally get one cut. And I put it behind me. I turned back around to grab another one and the thing grew back. Now, this demon person just thinks that's hilarious. He's really laughing. And, I'm a fighter. I'm a survivor. And I thought, I'm just going to show him I'm going to keep doing this if I got no place else to go, So I start cutting, but then the lights went out and then the lights came up and I was in another place. There's no time over there. So you don't have a watch. There's no clocks. The sun doesn't come up and down. You don't know how long you're there. When I got home, I'm back. Home is not here. When I got back to my body, I was in pretty terrible shape. I couldn't move or anything. So I kind of recreated what went on to try and figure out a timeline. And the closest I could come up with all the time that I was on this road, also there was this road to nowhere that I was on a lot, walking. I think 2 years, that's what it felt like with all that went on. At the very end, after it was going to get so much worse, like I say, they kept getting worse and worse. We went to the road. I met 2 living people, which was very rare. In fact, there's a lady that's going to start doing a study on the very few people that have seen alive people in hell, because I had to give them both messages. But there was a terrible one in an abortion clinic. There was coming off the road toward the end. Of course, I didn't think this was ever going to end. I noticed up ahead of me, it looked to be people on this road, and they were kind of wandering back and forth. And they didn't look human because they were lurching and muttering and, think zombies. And I thought, this is really dangerous. This road is the only road there is, and I've got to get through. So I thought, well, if I just kind of adapt their stance and mutter and keep my eyes down, I can get through the group onto the other side of the road. So I got about halfway in and all of a sudden they all froze. And I thought, oh, been made, And so the ladies, the ones with rags on their heads, and they moved to the outside. The male portion of this mob moved to all around me. And then one pushed me and another one knocked me down. And then there was a very unpleasant interchange of things, you can imagine what a mob would do to a single lady in the dark over there. So this was a horrible experience. And then the last guy up said, we've all got AIDS and now you're going to get it and you can't die. So you're just going to get worse and worse and worse. And you'll look like us. And he had skin falling off his face and all that stuff. So a demon lady came over and said, you're with us. And I got up, left my clothes together and joined a whole bunch of other ladies that were going to tromp on out, follow this lady. At this point, I was getting kind of tired and I thought maybe I'm not going to get out of here, but I'm going to still fight. Anyway, we went through the snow started and we got into this deep snow thing. We finally got out to this hideous little shack out in the middle of freaking nowhere, and the wind's blowing and we go in the shack and there's no insulation. The snow's coming in. We're all cold and we're sitting on the floor and she says, now we wait for customers, and perky little thing. And then I said to her, I've been here a long time and this seems like a particularly dense, dark, so what's going on? And she says, oh, well, it's Christmas on Earth. That's always the worst day in hell. And to that point, I really didn't know I was dead. Your soul is you and it's alive, whether it's incarnated in a body or not. So that was a little depressing. And to think that, I thought, no, I'm going to get out of here. I'm not going to sit sit and just have this happen. So I started singing a Christmas carol just to tick her off. And she screamed at me to shut up, and I just kept going. And it was my favorite Christmas carol, Away in a Manger. And some of the other ladies started singing too. And now the demon lady's shouting and waving her stick around and all that other stuff. And I got to a certain part in the song, and she screamed and leapt at me like the spider, and I just shut my eyes. And when the lights came up, it was a whole different story. Just infused with this incredible love and light and warmth and joy and bliss and all that other stuff just wiped from my mind. I was just swimming in love is all I can describe it. It's wonderful. It was just light and love and all that, but then it started kind of settling down, and I could kind of make out everything was still white, but the floor, and there was kind of walls and a kind of not a ceiling, but an archway or something. And I looked off to the right, and there was, weirdly enough, like an architect's table with this huge book, and it was open about halfway. I thought when I looked at that book, I thought, whoa, wait a minute, somebody was showing me something in that book. And I said to them, no, I want to stay here with you. And I looked up, and there's my fiance, ex-fiance, former fiance, that had died the month before, and he's standing there. And he died of leukemia, and all his hair had fallen out, and he was all blotchy and blue and everything. And now he looked great. Instead of 52, he looks like he's 35. And he was laughing, and his hair was brown instead of gray. And I thought, what the heck, And I thought, oh, shoot, he doesn't know he's dead. And then he started really laughing, and I thought, oh, wait a minute. If he's dead, brilliant. I figured it out. I'm dead too, and we're in heaven. Doesn't get any better than this. And I was so happy to see him. And I says, why are we standing here? I said, let's go see the angels and the butterflies and all the good stuff. And he came a little closer, and he says, now, Mary Kay, you've got too much left to do. What? They're throwing me out? I said, no. And bye-bye. I think I went to a timeout place, and it was beautiful, nice meadow with pretty, the stream and all this stuff. So I had followed this stream back, and during that time, I met 3 different ladies who gave me messages and stuff. So there was a lady standing there going down this stream, and she had like a quilt or something handmade. And I thought, does this get any weirder? She handed me the quilt, and I said, thanks. And she spoke to me in a language I didn't understand, but it was that lilting kind of, you hear from the Swedish people or whatever. And I thought, okay, so I took the quilt. I'm walking down the stream trying not to trip on the rocks, and come around, and there's like a sandbar with a lady in a rocking chair, and she had like, I don't know, a lace nightie or something like that. And she gets up and she hands it, and she's, happy to see me. And so now I got a quilt on one shoulder, and I got this thing on the other. And I thought, okay. So I came down to the bottom, and there was one more lady, and I thought, okay. And she's speaking blah, blah, blah. But then all of a sudden it becomes English, and she says, give this to Ron. You must live together. So I got this piece of paper in my hand. So then I wake up, the lights come up, and there's these people. And they're all screaming, and the lights are too bright, and I can't move. And I thought, now what? I'm back in hell. Oh no. And my daughter turns around and says, Mom's back. And my mother's screaming, yay. And I thought, what's going on? And they come over, and I can't talk. I got that thing in my throat. And she said, oh, Mom, you've been so sick. We thought, they told us you were going to die, but you're not. You're here, and we're so happy. And you've been really sick, and there's going to be a lot of things you're going to have to, but right now, just don't worry, you're safe. You have no idea where I've just been. I was in heaven, and now I'm here. What? With too much left to do. And God must have a great sense of humor, because that was the worst thing about hell. Nobody had a sense of humor. It just gets you through. Lighten up, I guess, would be the thing. Lighten up. It's not that the stuff that we deal on a day-to-day basis is just not that important in the long run. Nobody gets in because they got enough money or enough power or enough fame. It's how much you love. That's what counts. And the life review, that's what I hear about, that life review. I love that I would see my life, but that thing about flipping it around so you can feel how it felt to interact with each person. Another thing that encourages me to be kind now, just to continue with the loving, kind, merciful, forgiving, encouraging, grateful, non-judgmental, and useful. I say that every morning.